Hey guys, today I'm going to make one of my simplest recipes, and it's also one of the best tasting. It's butter beans with pasta. You're going to love it. Let's get started. Okay, first let's take a look at the ingredients. There's not many. We use salt, of course, a little baking soda, bay leaves, a couple of medium-sized onions, and a few cloves of garlic. And then the stars, I've got some butter beans and a ham bone. Well, it's more than a ham bone, but it's from a smoked ham, one of the spiral hams, and this is what it looks like after you've taken off all the slices of ham. This is probably what really makes the dish. Now, if we go back and look at the beans for a minute, they have been soaked. You can soak them overnight. I use a fast method and it works really well. Just put them in a pot, bring it to a boil it for about a minute, turn it off, let it set for an hour, and then drain the water off. I don't rinse them. It may tell you to rinse them. I don't rinse the beans. I clean them and rinse them before I put them in the pot originally. And then they're ready to go. Oh, and also when I do this, I put about a quarter teaspoon of baking soda in the soaking water. The more soda, I think, within limits, that I can get into the beans, the less gas they're going to have at the end. And these beans will generate a lot of gas, let me tell you. Okay, we're going to start off by chopping the onions. It's usually a good place to start. So let's just clean them, get these outer shells off. Go ahead and take that big one off too. Okay. And then we'll just chop it right up. Okay, now we've got all the onions chopped up. Just put them in a bowl here. Get them out of the way. And let's get us a couple of pieces of garlic. I don't put too much, and you know me, I like to cook with lots of garlic. But in this dish, it's just not a flavor that needs to be too overpowering. So we're going to crush this up a few pieces, and then we'll chop those up. I think I have another one there, yep. Tried to get away from me. No way. They're in the pot. Okay, now then we just slice it up real quick. That one looks like it's not crushed very much, so we're going to give it a few extra slices. That one's going to be good, just like it is. Okay, that's it. That's good. It's going to cook down so much that it really doesn't matter how big the pieces are, as long as they're chopped. They can be finely chopped or it can be coarsely chopped. And you'll notice I'm putting the garlic right in with the onions. I don't always do that. Sometimes we do them separately, but in this dish we're going to put them together. We're going to just turn them translucent pretty quickly, and then they'll go into the pot. They'll start cooking with the beans. It won't matter. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and turn the fire on here. Put it on about medium. That should do it. Throw a little canola oil in there. I know I didn't mention it, better put a little bit more. There's probably about 2 tablespoons of oil in there. I didn't mention that. That's one of the ingredients that I tend to leave out when I'm doing sauteing. And there's our onions and garlic. We'll just put them in there. Again, sometimes we let the pot get hot before we put the onions and garlic and other types of vegetables into brown or saute, but in this case it doesn't matter. Okay, now this is just about done. We just need to get the onions and garlic a little bit cooked. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw the bay leaves in there. Throw the beans in there. And I noticed as I was sauteing the onions and the garlic that the pot I'm using is not Teflon. And I know in the recipe where I did the moussaka, I said that Teflon was the only cookware that I used. And it pretty much is. I forgot about my bean pot. So this is my bean pot. It's not a Teflon, but it's got a very thick, let me just show you. See the bottom? It's got a very thick bottom. Its core is cast iron. So it's a really good pot, distributes heat well, had it a long time and I love it. Alright, so beans are in there, they've already been cooked, they've already been soaked, not cooked, sorry. Now, notice I'm just throwing the whole ham in there, of it, and then as these cook, I'll take and I'll push on the ham to get the pieces loose. Now, let's put some water in. Now, one thing you got to watch on your water, it's not the same as if you're doing just plain dry beans, or even beans that are soaked overnight. This really seems to soak up more water than those. I mean, these beans soaked in this fast cook method seem to soak up more water than the ones that soak overnight. So you don't need as much in the pot. Okay, so got that. I'm going to put another little shot. Probably a quarter of a teaspoon of baking soda in the water, and that in about that same amount when they were soaking is enough to take out a lot of the gas that would otherwise be in there or that would otherwise somehow get into your body. Okay, these are beans, so we're going to need a good bit of salt in them. However, this ham, being a cured meat, has got a lot of salt in it, so don't oversalt. For now, undersalt the beans and watch them. Taste them when they're 3/4 done and see if you think you need more salt. Okay? I'll probably end up adding a little bit more water, but for now, I want to see the beans soak up this much water, because they really won't take up too much more than what they've already taken up in the soaking. So we're going to cover them. We're going to check on them about every 30 minutes, probably in about an hour and a half. I'll let you know how long it really is. But in about an hour and a half, they'll be done and ready to put the pasta in it. And we'll come back and do that next. Alright, let's take a look and see how it's going. Alright, the beans are, I see it's been about an hour and 15 minutes and the beans are already completely cooked. The meat is, well, it's seasoning anyway. What I'll do is I'll take this out and cut any of the meat that I want off the bone and put it back into the pot. So it's pretty well done. So the next thing we're going to do is put the pasta in there. Oh, and before I forget, they're called butter beans because one of the ingredients, which I failed to mention earlier, is butter. You're going to put a half to one stick, which a stick is about 1/4 pound. So we'll just see. I just put it in, and I try to do a half stick. I don't want to put too much. It may go to a full stick depending on how the flavor. And right after that, I'll put the pasta in. Okay, now I've taken and cleaned the meat off the bone, as you can see, and we're going to put some butter in it. I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning, after we put the water in and we let it simmer, on a medium-low flame. And then, along the way, as you're cooking, like I said, you should check it about every 45 minutes or so. You want to check and make sure that the water is getting absorbed. If it's not, take the cover off, or at least take the cover and make it where it's not sealed, because you do want it to evaporate and get thicker. If it's not, and like I said, it's not going to get absorbed by the beans very much. Alright, that was a half a stick. I'm going to put just over, that was a quarter of a stick. I'm going to put about 3/4 of 1 stick of butter, and I can tell you that's going to be about enough. These beans are nice, but I don't really like the way they held up. I usually buy, and I don't, again, do product endorsements, and I'm not going to do endorsements until I start getting offers, and I'm sure they're coming anytime. In fact, I had a blocked number on my caller ID that was probably the Food Network trying to get a hold of me. But that being said, I have to say that I do use Goya beans, and they have always performed well. They've always held up to the cooking, and I like them. I wouldn't have endorsed those, except that these beans, which I won't say what they were, did not hold up as well as I like. There's a little fat there. Yeah, I'll cut that off later. All right, now the pasta I put in about 3/4 of a pound. You see, actually, I'm going to put. I don't want to be too much pasta, so I'm going to put a little bit less than 3/4. I know it's a little picky, but just that much more to me can make a difference. So, not quite 3/4 of a pound. The whole box is a pound, and I'm using a little bit a little bit more than half of the box. So, I'll let it cook up, and then we'll take a final look. Okay, it's been cooking for about 20 minutes now, which is longer than you usually let pasta cook. But remember that it's a very thick juice that the pasta is cooking in, so it takes longer to absorb it. So, we're going to plate a little up. Okay. All right. Now it's ready. Let me try it. It's hot. Oh, it's so good. It's a little thin now. What'll happen, the pasta will continue to absorb the juice, and it will get so thick you won't have any trouble eating it with a fork. And that way you can get beans and pasta and everything with every bite. It's delicious. You gotta try it. Bye.